hi, and welcome to Political Quickie, your political show that subjectively discusses current affairs in South Africa and all around the world. My name is Map Asikamura. So, Gauteng province is currently on fire. South Africans are finally angry. Okay, they are mad. They have had enough. I guess that's something to celebrate, except the fact that our anger is misdirected. Okay, I can understand why you would think that black Africans are your problem because number one, of the Somali tuck shops in our townships, where those specific tuck shops, A, do not pay tax, 2, sell counterfeit goods, and 3, hire other African nationals except for South Africans. 2, I can understand the competition that you're in with African manual labor that is cheaper than yours. So why would anyone pay you more when they can pay another African national less? And they are desperate for that job. So of course they will offer their services at a lower price. Number 3, and no one has proven this because no one has investigated, so there's no actual evidence to show except what we have seen, we have heard in Hillbrow, in Sunnyside, in Sandton, and that is the Nigerian drugs, prostitution, and human trafficking rings. And that can only be possible with the help of the police. So that behavior is an abomination in itself. With that being said, we South Africans have a common enemy with the people that we're currently fighting, the rest of Africa, okay? Our enemy is twofold. Our incompetent, corrupt, disgusting black governments, right? And the control of the West and the East of our economies and our resources. We can deport all the black Africans we want in South Africa. But I think that would still be hungry and there would still be crime because our black leaders will continue pimping us out, not even to the highest bidder, but to the most dangerous one. So I think that's been the most traumatizing thing about this entire experience, that our black government would perpetuate structural racism, inequality, and poverty. We have an unemployment rate of 29%. We've got the largest inequality gap in the world, and we have a government with no economic plan. So if we wanted to channel our anger in the right place, it would be in 2 places, right? The Union Buildings and Sandton, the richest square mile in Africa. So if South Africans really want to protest and have an impact, they need to go to their government in the Union Buildings and be like, you do not have any economic plan except for the one that the finance minister put forth for all of us to comment on, to privatize everything. And then you would go to corporate South Africa and fight them as well on the richest square mile in Africa. But to be honest, our problem is not just a South African problem, it's an African problem. So where everyone really needs to march to is the African Union, right, and demand action on the part of those countries, all of them, in solidarity of their people that they don't seem to care about at all, okay? So when you really think about it, if Africa wanted to save itself, Africa would save itself. Think of the 14 West African nations that pay colonial tax to France, right? Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire can bring that to an end just by themselves. Just those 2 countries have the muscle to bring that to an end. They produce 60% of the cocoa beans that make chocolate in the world. 60%. So if Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire decided, right, until France loosens its hold and emancipate these 14 West African countries, we will no longer trade cocoa beans, right? Number 2, think of the Zimbabwean problem. The DRC, the wealthiest nation on the planet, can deal with that by itself. Tshisekedi can literally deal with that by himself, right? If he decided, my country will no longer trade cobalt until all the sanctions on Zimbabwe are removed, I actually think that the world will listen because Apple would be affected, so then the US would be affected, Samsung would be affected, which means Asia would be affected. There would be no smartphones made if there is no cobalt. That's how much power the DRC has. Hey, the power to stop the production of all smartphones, okay? So then why wouldn't the world listen? So we've got the muscle, we've got the power. And if you think, oh no, but our people are going to go hungry if these countries don't trade those mineral resources, well, guess what? Our people are already hungry, right? The fact that you see South Africans doing what they're doing right now, our people are already hungry. The case in Zimbabwe, the case in everywhere in Africa, our people are already hungry. We literally have nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose on this continent. In essence, we should all march to the AU and chant, fight or dismantle, because what is the point of the AU continuing to exist if it doesn't serve us? Okay, so what we would want is for all leaders who are greedy and disgusting to step down, and for every country to have a civilian council, right? 5 women, 5 men who would lead us in Africa becoming one country, right? So all these issues, we must deal with them together in solidarity, right? Not because, hey, we are all African, different African nations, but because we are one country and we do not have a choice but to deal with those issues, all of us together in solidarity. The second thing would then to start trading as a block in the interim, right? All together, deciding how much our resources are worth at world market prices, right? Would also turn our own resources into finished products and sell those at world market prices. And finally, we would establish an African bank that not only funds and sustains African businesses, but that also funds and sustains African businesses in the entire diaspora, so that you know that you are supported by us, by your people. I think that at the end of the day, it's okay. It's okay for us to learn from Singapore. It's okay for us to learn from the Jews. It's okay for us to learn from any community in the world that has ensured that their people are not criminals. Their people are not living in poverty, but their people are taken care of. We need to be those people. I love you guys. Use your talents to serve humanity, and I will see you soon.